evening, everybody. Let's start again. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Town Board Work Session and Special Meeting for the Town of Ossining for Tuesday, January 16th, 2018. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so tonight we are starting with our work session. We have 3 short topics to address, and then we will get to announcements as part of our special meeting. Our first item on tonight's agenda is a visit from our town assessor, Fernando Gonzalez. Fernando informed us that in the absence of formal action by all taxing jurisdictions, the property tax exemption afforded to veterans of the Cold War will end at the originally scheduled 10-year mark. Westchester County has already passed this extension, and we wanted to discuss following suit. Mr. Gonzalez, will you please join us to discuss what we need to consider before extending this exemption?
Good evening. Just to give you a quick information summary about the veterans exemption, there are 3 exemptions that are applicable to veterans. Of course, as you know, the Cold War vet, which is the one we're discussing tonight, the alternative veterans exemption, which is the war vet, and the eligible funds exemption, which is veterans who purchase a home with funds, eligible funds. We do have all of these exemptions available. They apply at different levels in different jurisdictions, meaning that the county level may be different than the town and the village. In fact, only recently the all vet was approved by the school district. Last year, the state legislature approved the Cold War and the eligible funds. However, none of our 2 school districts have adopted those two exemptions. I understand that the Ossining School District is now considering the eligible funds to make it available for veterans. But tonight we're discussing the Cold War vet, which was approved back in 2007, and we started making it available in 2008. So it was for a 10-year period. It was supposed to sunset, and at the end of last year, the state approved the extension, not the extension, of making it permanent. So all jurisdictions will have to, of course, amend the law or approve a new law, making it available or rather removing the deadline. I have here in this document that I just provided you some data as to how many veterans, Cold War veterans exemptions we have on the roll, on the town roll. We have a total of 380 Cold War veterans exemption. Some of them, in addition to the Cold War, they're also eligible for the additional disability exemptions. So the level at which is approved in the village and the town of Ossining is for a 12,000 assessed value reduction. So it's not a lot of benefit. However, every little bit helps. So basically, our veterans who are receiving these Cold War veterans receive a reduction of $12,000.
$12,000.
No, reduction in assessed value. So if their house,
reduction in assessed
so
value.
if their assessed value is $300,000, then they will only pay taxes on $288.
Got it.
Minus the for town general and town purposes.
So,
It's also applicable to the village taxes as well. The county exemption is much larger. The county approved a $40,000 reduction. Of course, the reason why our veterans exemption are so complicated because there are different levels that apply for different jurisdictions. So the numbers at the bottom also indicate the total exemption amount that this Cold War veteran exemption is reducing the taxable assessed value by. In the village of Ossining, it's $2,821,566. In the village of Briarcliff Manor, never adopted this exemption for Cold War veterans, so it's zero. The town outside, 996,000, and the town general is 4,772,873. I'm sorry, I have an extra digit there.
That's only the reduction in assessment. It's not the reduction in the amount of taxes we're collecting.
Correct. This is the reduction in assessed value. So if you want to figure out what is the impact in dollar amount, we would multiply that by the tax rate. For the town general, that would be times 4,772 times 74 cents. So it's less than $5,000. So while it is not a large amount compared to other exemptions, and every little bit helps. You know, my belief is that veterans should get all the benefits that we can afford to provide them. So.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so town board. Does anybody have questions for Fernando, or would you like to discuss this? I mean, I would just like to.
And the schools don't. Neither school has a veterans exemption at all.
Yeah, both schools. The first veteran exemption that was voted to make it available for school district was the alternative veterans, and both schools have adopted them.
Okay.
And they have adopted them at the lowest level.
So just to clarify, we're not changing anything. We're maintaining what's already in place. So this isn't going to shift anything from what is currently in place. It's going to maintain what's currently in place. So currently, our Cold War veterans have been receiving this exemption. And this, the state legislation allows us to continue to offer this exemption without the 10-year deadline or whatever, 10-year limitation. So it would extend it in perpetuity until such time as those people are no longer living in the home here or no longer property owners in the town of Ossining. Does our adopting it impact the village of Ossining?
No, the village has to also approve,
Right.
go through the same process.
And I believe they considered that at their meeting. No, not yet.
It's in tomorrow, I believe.
Well, maybe
that
it's
they
tomorrow
are-
night. Tomorrow
tomorrow
night. I know I
night
saw
they're
it on the
considering
agenda.
it, yeah.
I didn't remember if they'd already. So they'll also be considering it, and then I assume that the school. This one you're saying does not apply to the school. Cold War does or does not apply.
The school, it is now available for them to adopt it, but they haven't adopted
They
it.
didn't
yet.
adopt it yet.
They
so
the last time I spoke to Ms. Suber, we were discussing the eligible funds, which
Okay.
also became available last year for the schools to adopt. So
my personal opinion is that our veterans in this country don't get enough benefits at all. And when I was on the school board, I was fully supportive of this, and I think that this is the least that we can do for people who have stepped up to defend our country and our nation's values and put their lives on the line. That's how I personally feel. I certainly think that if it's something that's already been in place, it makes it just that much easier for us to continue. So personally, I'm in favor of that. I don't know where anybody else stands, but I'd love to know
No,
consensus.
I absolutely agree. We should continue it.
And I'm in favor of it.
Yep. Okay. Thank you very much.
thank you.
So now is this going to require a new local law? Is that the plan?
Yes, I would imagine or recommend at your meeting next week, you can schedule a public hearing because you are going to have to amend the legislation that's currently in place. I don't think it should be too complicated. I think there's already a provision in the code that deals with the duration of the exemption, 180-30. So it would just require an amendment to that, but because it is a local law requiring legislation, you'd have to hold a public hearing first.
All right, so we will call for the public hearing next week at our regularly scheduled meeting. All right, thank you. All right, so next up for our work session, you may remember that last year, we, along with many of our neighbors along the Hudson, were called upon to support the Ban the Barges campaign, or to speak out against the U.S. Coast Guard's request to establish 10 or more barge anchor sites between Yonkers and Kingston. In June of 2017, due to the significant level of public outcry, the U.S. Coast Guard announced that they would be suspending their proposal and ultimately caused the Tanker Avoidance Zone bill to be voted into law, which permitted the New York State DEC to issue guidelines on anchorages and transit petroleum-bearing vessels. However, to date, there is no mechanism in place to enforce these guidelines, and we were approached by Scenic Hudson to pass a resolution of support to compel the DEC to advance a rulemaking process to establish these tanker avoidance zones, as well as to encourage the DEC to issue strict regulations that would prohibit anchorage grounds from being sited in places where they could pose a threat to the environment, economic development, and or quality of life. So if the board is in agreement, we would plan to pass a resolution to this end at our meeting on January 23rd. There is a sample resolution that was, I think, attached
Yep.
this weekend, right?
Yes.
I read it. So we will
which
be using that format. I
you will-
didn't see any changes I wanted to make.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it looks pretty good, and it's just really calling, saying, you know, this is how we feel, and we just have to input a couple of things that it would negatively impact into the resolution, you know, in terms of economic development, quality of life, et cetera, specific to town of Austining. You know,
Kids kayaking program.
yeah,
or,
kayaking, access, you know,
fishing.
whatever, our scenic views, our soon to be
Kilbrook.
or soon to be prison museum, hopefully, you know, all of those things that would be negatively impacted by having oil barges parked outside of town of Austining. I don't think anybody's thinking that that would be so helpful to us, and safety as well as environmental issues, exactly. So if everybody's good with that, we'll put that on for January 23rd and we'll get that resolution into shape. Yeah? Everybody in favor of that? Okay. All right, fantastic.
Didn't we have, I know we had this discussion before,
We did.
but it's, I forgot. But wasn't there something about, we could, say no, they would not.
So it was a U.S. Coast Guard issue, or it was a rulemaking, and we basically felt like we didn't have any say because it was a U.S. Coast Guard issue. But really, according to this resolution and the information that we've learned, there is, you know, the guidelines for the Hudson are kind of shared by the state and by the U.S. government. So the state has more power than maybe either we believed or previously thought, or maybe we did understand it, but the Coast Guard had some power to overrule it. And we're just saying to make it, that, you know, I think that the Scenic Hudson is saying to make the power stronger for the state to be able to enforce regulations that would keep these anchorages away from our shores.
Yes.
And out of the way of trouble, and not, you know, creating that we should encourage them to put in place this rulemaking.
No, it was something I just was remembering and I couldn't remember it all, I guess, but okay.
Well, I mean, you know, we've had a lot of discussions about it, and it's
Yeah, we sent a letter to the
complicated.
Coast Guard, this outlining the impacts we felt it would have on our community. And I think Scenic Hudson is asking us to re-outline the impacts we feel it would have on our community and asking it not to be placed anywhere near our community for that reason. And if all the communities outline their reasons, maybe they'll just not do
Okay,
that.
all right.
It's actually specific to the DEC, though. We're asking the DEC to make
DEC?
rules now versus the Coast Guard. This is specifically directed to the state.
To the state agency.
Correct. Yeah, that's what's different.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So great.
So we'll want to hit on more DEC interested, like the fish hatchery, the Gilbrook, and things that they're really interested in.
Yeah. And finally, we have another request from one of our local organizations for a resolution of support. For a great many years, the Austin Children's Center has offered childcare and programming out of the buildings at 90 to 92 South Highland Avenue, with satellite facilities on Emwelton Place. But they're looking to consolidate all of their operations into a new building at 32 State Street for many reasons, including to extend their partnership with the Austin School District. Although the town has no jurisdiction over this plan because it is in the village, we have been asked to add our voice in support of the project, specifically to help Austin Children's Center to raise funds to continue the development of the Children's Center at on State Street. So 32 State Street. Since we put this on the agenda, I have learned that, as I understand it, the village had also been approached to support the Children's Center with a resolution, and the village decided, in lieu of a resolution, which they felt was more appropriate for other types of actions, they're going to present a letter, glowing letter, of support to the Children's Center, but not in the form of a resolution. So with that information in mind, I thought it would be worthy of discussion with the board if we would like to pursue a resolution in support of this, a letter instead of a resolution, or something, whatever anybody has to think about.
What difference would it make which one? That's all I'm trying to say.
I can't tell you.
Does it help with them with grant proposals more one over the other? Does it help them? Don't they both seem supportive in any which way?
I don't think so. I mean, you could ask Howard, but I doubt that it would really make that much of a difference.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason that I would say that we wouldn't do the resolution is just because the village has decided that they didn't want to do a resolution, and I wouldn't want to.
Muddy the
I
water.
don't think we should base what we do on what they do. Really, I mean, just a resolution. If
I don't have
why
any
would
issue.
you do a resolution is over a letter.
That's what I just asked her. She
Oh.
said she didn't know.
I
Okay.
said, yeah, no, I said I don't honestly know why it would hurt us to do a resolution.
I don't think it would.
If they thought it would help them more to have a resolution, I wouldn't be opposed to producing a resolution, but I also have no issue providing a letter in support.
Did the Children's Center request a resolution?
They did, and they gave us a sample, which I think was included
Right.
in
I
your
don't have a
packet
problem
over the
with that.
weekend.
I don't have any problem with it either.
I think they're a great community asset. Huge.
Okay, so with that said, just so if you want to take a look at the language, there was one word that I did want to change in the resolution. So we have it on for the agenda for discussion later, but we might as well take a look at it now. And it's specifically, it basically just says, whereas the Children's Center has been providing high quality childcare and education to the community for more than 120 years, and it provides children with a strong foundation for success in school and adult life. It empowers working parents in the roles of breadwinners, provides families with support and stability, and doing so strengthens the entire community. And I think we all would agree. And whereas the Children's Center seeks to build a new center at 32 State Street, which will expand their model infant and toddler program, strengthen their partnership with the Austin Public Schools, integrate all of its programs under one roof, provide working families with a more convenient and family-friendly location, and provide our community's children with a wonderful preschool and after-school environment. Therefore, be it resolved, Town Board of the Town of Austin endorses the Austin Children's Center plan to build a new child care and education center. And I know it's just a little bit of wordsmithing, but I would like to change the word from plan to goal, because plan has a specific. Since we don't have
a plan.
Since we don't have the jurisdiction, we haven't seen any plan. We haven't actually seen the plan, and we don't want to weigh in on any kind of architectural detail or anything that might be misconstrued as saying like, yes, we approve of your building plan. I'd rather just call it goal.
And do you want endorses or do you want supports?
I don't feel strongly about that, but if you like supports better, I'm happy with that too. Does anybody? You're fine. David?
It's all fine.
The only question I had, can we go back to them and ask, do they really need a resolution or just a letter of support? I mean, kind of getting information from them, did they just say resolution because that's what they said, or does a
That's what
letter
they
of
drafted.
support? Yeah, but does a letter of support work as well? Or do
Oh.
they need a resolution for something that we don't know about?
That's what I said. I'll explain why,
Yeah.
what it is that they need.
So, just hearing from Councilwoman Feldman, Councilwoman Notori, and I all feel like we are okay with supporting the resolution, and that is what they asked for. So we don't have any issue. I mean, we can put it off until our next meeting, and then we don't even if it's in fact it's just a letter of support and everybody's in favor of that. I'm happy to just provide that. I don't need anybody to actually really vote on that. As far as I can tell, to just provide a letter of support, especially if I have everybody's consensus. That's fine, so I can do that, and then we can postpone this resolution to the next meeting.
I just want to ask Christy, there's no contraindication to us supporting a plan to build something.
Well, you're not supporting a plan anymore. You're not
Right.
supporting a plan anymore. You're supporting a goal. So, but
Okay.
I mean, no, yeah. I mean, you know, you've done this in the past, and I don't know. I wasn't in direct contact with them about why they would have preferred one over the other, but if this is what they asked for, and you know,
You don't have a problem with it.
there's no legal. You're not binding yourself in any way, shape, or form. You're just kind of voicing your endorsement, your support as a united town board front. In contrast to maybe as a letter sent by just the supervisor. So
It's possible. I don't know what they're fundraising, but I imagine there's probably seeking some government grant. So it's possible a resolution will be required as opposed to a letter of support. So I don't really think that the implications change anything. So
Okay.
I would just do I would just do what they requested because that's probably what they need.
As long as it doesn't.
And we'll take it up in our regular meeting, our special meeting, later this evening, like in a minute. Fantastic. Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah.
Are you okay with that too?
Yes.
All right. Fantastic. All right. In that case, may I have a motion to enter into our special meeting?
So move. Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Okay, so in our special meeting, we'll take the roll. Let's do a quick roll call. Councilwoman Shaw. Councilwoman Dottori. Councilman Wilcher. Councilwoman Feldman.
Present.
And Supervisor Levenberg. Present. Any announcements? I have a few. On Thursday, January 18th, the Austin Documentary and Discussion Series will be hosting a screening of Room to Breathe at the Austin Public Library. The film follows a classroom of troubled middle school students in San Francisco and examines how the age-old practice of mindfulness works when applied to the learning environment. It looks like it's going to be a fascinating film and panel discussion. I hope you can join us in the Bludars Theater on Thursday. The film begins at 6:30 p.m. On Saturday, January 20th, the Austin Arts Council will present the Forget-Me-Nots and David Ray in concert at the Steamer Firehouse at 117 Main Street at 8 p.m. The Forget-Me-Nots are a group of 3 singer-songwriters who perform original material along with Motown, traditional folk, and mainstream hits. Add in David Ray, and this makes for a night of live local music you will not want to miss. For just $15, check out these 2 area favorites as they team up to make some beautiful music together. Tickets are available at the door, and all proceeds go to support the OAC's programming and community engagement goals. Also on Saturday the 20th, Green Austin will be hosting a twofer. The Repair Cafe and the E-Waste Drive will both take place at the Joseph G. Caputo Community Center between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. Bring your gently used items like clothing, toys, electrical appliances, costume jewelry to the Repair Cafe, and have one of their experts breathed new life into them and saved them from the junk drawer. Take the opportunity to responsibly recycle some e-waste hanging around the house, including ink cartridges, laptops, computers, and more. Visit www.greenosnane.org for more information, as well as a list of what can and cannot be accepted. Have you had a chance to check out the Winter 2018 recreation brochure yet? There are some great new programs to try this season, many of which will be held in the Cedar Lane Art Center. Our friend Yoshimi Arai of Magokoro, New York. Is that the name? That's the name of the company. Magokoro, New York, who you probably know as a vendor from our annual Earth Day Festival, will be teaching a series of origami classes for kids and adults for 4 Tuesdays beginning on January 23rd. Adult classes from 2 to 3 p.m., kids classes from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. For more information or to sign up for either class, visit the Austin Recreation website or call 941-3189 before January 19th. On Wednesday, January 31st at 7 p.m., St. Anne's Church will be hosting a Know Your Rights community forum, including an immigration presentation and a free legal screening. Contact Neighbors Link at 914-666-3410, extension 10, for more information. Finally, I want to congratulate the Village of Austin, specifically the Village Board and assistant to the Village Manager, Jamie Hoffman, on the launch of their new website earlier today. Check out www.villageofaustin.org to see some new content and a very user-friendly feel. I know this was a labor of love and a long time coming, and they did a fantastic job. Thank you for making it easier for Austin Village residents and town residents to get the information they need. And that is it for my announcements. Are there any other announcements?
Briarcliff has its annual inspection on Saturday the 20th. I'm forgetting what
I
time.
believe it starts at 6 p.m.
There you go.
Yes.
At 6 p.m. So if you would like to see Briarcliff's apparatus and men dressed up in their finest,
And women.
and women, absolutely. It's a really nice department. They always put the
Absolutely.
trucks up. Why you'd have an inspection in the winter is beyond me, but it should be great.
Okay, we'll be there. As long as we all get back from the march. Don't forget the Women's March is in New York City. I think it starts at 11 a.m. 11 a.m. And I know many of us will be attending that as well. All right. So,
Rosie, did you just want to briefly mention the public hearings?
yes, I did want to mention. We had a public hearing scheduled to discuss legislation and a local law that was going to address if a condo was to change its status, was looking to change its status from condo, I'm sorry, the other way around. If another residential unit type of unit was looking to change its status to condominium and what the tax implications would be. And we've been looking specifically at a law that was giving us guidance from the Village of Austin. And as we looked further, it turns out that we already have legislation in place in the town that addresses that issue. So we are going to be canceling that public hearing. So we just wanted to let everybody know that. Was there anything else that I need to add to that?
No, it was just, the public hearing was, as we discussed before the town board adopts any legislation, you have to hold a public hearing, but given the code provision that already exists, it seems to be a moot issue, so there's no reason to go forward with that process.
I should have just let you state it. Seems like she's part of it. Did we tell you that Christy Tomadonna is now partner? River's Alliance, we're very excited about that. I think we did announce it, but we just want to say that another
I wasn't
time.
here.
We're
Thank you.
very happy about that. Congratulations.
Last week, remember?
Yes, I do, but now she wasn't here, so we didn't get to congratulate her and make her turn
Oh,
red
Christy.
on camera. We're very
Happens
happy
in a
about
second.
that. Okay, so I think we're now ready to go into our resolution.
We have no public comment on any agenda items, doesn't look like. Resolved that the town board hereby appoints Craig A. Stevens, Peekskill, as the town arborist for 2018. And be it further resolved that Mr. Stevens' rate of $50 per tree will be paid out of the applicant's tree removal permit fee.
Do I have a motion? So moved. And a second, do I have?
Second.
Thank you. As part of our tree protection law, the town must appoint and contract with a certified arborist in order to make determinations about the health of trees. Mr. Stevens will review all tree removal permit applications and give recommendations on whether the application should be accepted, altered, or rejected. The fee paid to Mr. Stevens will be absorbed in the cost of the permit application, which is something that we addressed in our updated fee schedule that we adopted at our reorganization meeting. All those in favor? Aye. Oh, sorry, discussion.
I'm sorry, is this the same person we've been using?
We haven't had
It's
this
a new
person.
position.
A new position?
New position recommended by Mr. Hamilton.
Okay, so we have a personal recommendation from our building inspector. I was just wondering how we got somebody from Peekskill. Okay,
Okay.
all right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Resolved that the town board hereby reappoints Larry Schachtel to the Town of Ossining Board of Assessment Review to serve a 4-year term set to expire on September 30th, 2021.
Do we have a motion?
Oh, second.
So we have 2 reappointments to the Board of Assessment Review, and this is the first one, and then the next one is going to be for Teresa Duguay. Both of these folks have been serving on our BAR. We did not receive any additional applications to the board. There are 2 different lengths of terms based on when they started and the staggered nature that's indicated in the code that set up the BAR. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolved that the town board hereby reappoints Teresa Duguay to the Town of Ossining Board of Assessment Review to serve a 5-year term set to expire on September 30th, 2022.
We have a motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolved that the town board hereby appoints Susan Sarch as chair to the Town of Ossining Board of Ethics to serve a 5-year term set to expire on December 31st, 2022.
Motion.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And I forgot to mention that Susan has served, I'm pretty sure since the Board of Ethics was set up. No? 2 years. Okay. And our current chair had to step down for personal reasons, so we believe that Susan is the next person to step in that role. So thank you all for that approval.
Resolved that the town board hereby reappoints Laura Houston Whitlinger to the Town of Ossining Board of Ethics Committee to serve a 4-year term set to expire on December 31st, 2021.
Motion?
Second.
And again, Laura has been serving on the Board of Ethics, and they also have staggered terms, so for the same reason as I discussed with the BAR. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Resolved that the town board hereby appoints Nadia Bernstein to the Town of Ossining Board of Ethics to serve the remainder of Mr. Stuart Kahan's 5-year term set to expire on December 31st, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Resolved that the town board hereby appoints Mark Burstein, Ossining, as a Town of Ossining representative to the Ossining Recreation Advisory Board.
Motion.
Second.
And just to let you all know, we had an opportunity to look at Mark's resume. We're excited to welcome him onto the Rec Advisory Board to represent the unincorporated town I think this is for the remainder of Shaw's term.
It does not appear as though they have terms on the Recreation Advisory
She
Board.
just live there.
Actually, we sort of do. We didn't originally, and then last year we kind of drew straws out of that kind of thing.
Okay.
And I think my term would have ended in 2019.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
I know Jamie in the village is also trying to make sense of this for her folks, so we'll work together and try to figure out who
so
belongs
we
where.
may end up having to revise this, but why don't we just say right now through 2019?
As
And
amended.
If we need to change that,
Perpetuity.
okay, we'll do it and through for the remainder of the unexpired term of Ms. Jackie Shaw. And we still do have one more seat to appoint for Briarcliff. We haven't received an application yet, so we're doing a little bit more outreach to see if we can find
Before you go
somebody.
any further, I tried to get Jackie's mother to take
That's a good idea.
She right away said, "Oh no." Oh, no.
Wait, does she live in Briarcliff? All right.
I've been I have her asking her friends, and I made a couple of phone calls, so we'll see
Okay.
what falls out.
I was thinking maybe we would try the tennis community because we don't really have any folks. So maybe we'd reach out to, because I do think that there might be a few folks there. So.
We've tried getting them on previously, and we've been unsuccessful, but I'll try again.
Okay, great. So anyway, all those in favor of appointing Mark Burstein to the unexpired term?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Thanks.
Whereas the Ossining Children's Center, OCC, has been providing high-quality childcare and education to the community for more than 120 years, and whereas the Ossining Children's Center provides children with a strong foundation for success in school and adult life, and whereas the Ossining Children's Center empowers working parents in their roles as breadwinners and as their children's most important teachers, and whereas the Ossining Children's Center provides families with support and stability, and, in doing so, strengthens the entire community. And whereas the Ossining Children's Center seeks to build a new center at 32 State Street, which will expand Ossining Children's Center's model infant and toddler program, strengthen the Ossining Children's Center's partnership with the Ossining Public Schools, integrate all of its programs under one roof, provide working families with a more convenient and family-friendly location, and provide our community's children with a wonderful preschool and after-school environment. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Ossining endorses the Ossining Children's Center's goal to build a new child care and education center at 32 State Street, Ossining.
All those in favor? Aye. Oh, sorry. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
But we're in favor too.
But we're in favor too. Yeah.
Didn't we already do this like a half an hour ago?
Speed things up a little bit. Yes. Okay. That's right. Yes.
And I worked. I used to 30 years ago. I used to clean the building for them.
Oh, yeah? Wow.
It's been there a long time.
Yeah. It's nice that they're gonna have a better facility. I
Oh
think.
yeah, and a bigger one. It's much bigger. I passed there one day, and I said, "What's missing here on State Street?" Come and see me.
Yes.
So it was so big, I couldn't. I
Imagine.
went down the
there was
street.
a missing-
I was
yeah.
down the street, turned around, and come back. And then I said, "Oh,
It's a bigger
yeah."
parcel than you realize.
And it is so beautiful there. Yeah.
The
look
view
out
is
back.
beautiful.
Oh man, it's beautiful. from up there.
I hope they put a very strong fence.
Oh, they will.
It's a cliff.
Yeah. Exactly. So we voted out of order. Do we need to vote again? Or are we okay? Does it matter?
I think you took a motion and it was
And we voted.
seconded,
And we
and
voted.
then you
Okay.
voted.
Okay, great. Thanks. All right. So in that case, I just would like a motion to adjourn into executive session for advice of counsel, personnel, and real estate.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We are hoping that the snow does not materialize significantly overnight, but in case it does, please keep an eye on the town's Facebook or website pages for information on delayed openings or weather-related precautions. Please be safe out there. Have a great night, everybody, and we will see you next week at the courthouse. Bye-bye.
Good night.